Can the Seminoles still do it? Is likely the question in a lot of people's mind, especially the good folks in Tallahassee, because Jordan Travis, we talked about it on our Sunday morning sprint in terms of the content from the day before. Absolutely tragic situation. Gruesome injury. Your heart goes out to him. Thoughts and prayers with Jordan Travis and with the Florida State operation. But obviously, there's a pretty big sense of urgency now as you have a 2-game season to make it to the college football playoff. And if you're asking Mike Norvell, I promise you they're taking it as a 1-game season. Because now you subtracted the leader of your football team from the lineup. He'll still, I'm sure, be able to lead that team forward in different ways. But now you go to Tate Rodemaker as your quarterback. And so the question now is, can the Seminoles still make the college football playoff? We'll talk about it right now. First things first, though, make sure you subscribe right here to the On3 YouTube channel. Florida State faithful, met a lot of y'all when we were in Clemson, South Carolina for that game. We've had a lot of y'all subscribe to the channel even since then throughout the course of this season. If you want to be dialed in with all things college football, all things Florida State, want y'all right here. Make sure you're subscribed. Also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JD Piquel. A great way to stay with all that we got going on right here on this show. So with Tate Rodemaker, I think there's actually still a fair amount of confidence, not just internally, but even within this fan base. I mean, checking Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, I saw a lot of people tweeting out things like, we got confidence in Tate. Hey, we ride with 18. Hey, we're still good. And I don't think that's just people saying that to say that. I think that's legitimately how the Florida State fan base feels, because Tate Rodemaker, remember, he's played a fair amount of football. He stepped in last season with Jordan Travis going down at different points and actually played pretty well. So from a skill set perspective, is he Jordan Travis? No. But at the exact same time, I don't think you're sacrificing a ton in terms of his ability to push the ball downfield. Now, to be clear, like we said, 2-game season. I think there's 2 different missions right now for Florida State and with Tate Rodemaker and what he has to do for them to get where they want to go. Obviously, the first game now is this upcoming weekend at Florida. Okay, the mission in that one for Tate Rodemaker is to be composed and to not make the big mistake. Because Florida State, as much as we've talked about the need for them to run the football, you should feel pretty good about your chances to do so this week, because Florida got some issues stopping the run. They're allowing 170-ish yards a game. So from where I'm sitting, the gauntlet falls on that offensive line, falls on Trey Benson, and say, all right now, this is the week. Not only do we need to run the football well to support our new starting quarterback, we need to run the football well because that's what this game is going to allow us to do. Kind of take the training wheels, off the next week. We'll talk about that here in a second. But this is the game now where you should be able to control the line of scrimmage, run the football, and it just takes some pressure off Tate Rodemaker, because on top of what this game asks for, based on what they don't do stopping the run against Florida, the situation itself, like you're in the swamp. And we understand even experienced starting quarterbacks go into the swamp and have a little bit of trouble getting their bearings. So to be able to mellow out that defense, to be able to just set up a nice 2nd and 4, 3rd and 2, and not have to put it all on his shoulders and say, okay, hey, 3rd and 8, we got to throw the ball here, Tate. Let's roll, baby. I think he's going to be able to be serviceable in that department, but you don't want to ask that of him stepping into this spot in a rivalry game like that. Now, you might at times, but in that game, again, the mission for him in that game, manage the game, be the field general, don't make that big mistake. Composure, composure, composure is what we're asking that first spot. Now, moving to that next game, the ACC Championship. You got Louisville. And this one now, the lights are bright. This is for a ticket to the college football playoff if you're Florida State. And in this spot, for Tate Rodemaker, like, hey, we still want to support you as best we can. We're going to try and be as multiple as possible. But in this game, Louisville, they have a much better run defense. Tate Rodemaker, man, we're going to have to ask you to grow up, very, very quickly. And grow up is probably the wrong word, but you're going to ask more of him in this game than you would in the previous one, just by nature of what Louisville's going to do defensively. So in this game, I think a lot of the responsibility also has to fall on Mike Norvell and Alex Atkins to have a game plan together to help Tate Rodemaker. Because you don't just, cut him loose and say, all right, you had one game under your belt. Go sling it. We're going to throw it 40 times. If you're going with that thought process, then one, you have a ton of confidence in Tate Rodemaker, even more than I think I had perceived. Second, that's probably not necessarily a plan for success based on the lack of balance you would have in that kind of game. So what I want to make sure we say here is, going back to the game plan you got to give him, let's make it easy. Let's give him simple, quick game throws. Let's set up some tunnel screens for Keon Coleman. Let's make it as easy as possible to get the ball to our best players, which are on the perimeter now, and to just take some weight off Tate Rodemaker. I understand he's still going to have to make throws. He's still going to have to push the ball downfield. We're not excusing that, but I think there has to be a little bit of a reverse engineering here of what you're going to ask Tate Rodemaker to do and getting the ball to your best players in the most simplistic way possible. I'm not saying you make it simple to stop. I'm saying you make it simple to execute, and then you build from there. Get him comfortable, get him confident, at least in that first half. Get him in rhythm, and then we'll move forward in the second half and see what that game requires. So the second game is going to be a lot more of a asking for some dynamic from the offense and from Tate Rodemaker. So on top of all this, the thing that you were excited about, if you're a Florida State fan going into the year, there were probably different things with what Jordan Travis was going to be, with what you did last season, but that's just the thing. Last season, you returned a lot of production, actually the most production in the country from last year into this year than anybody else. Okay, that was a big talking point for us on this show, and likely a big point of confidence for you going into the year, if you're a Florida State fan, that is. And so what I want to say is, for Florida State, what made them durable to this point in the year has to make them steady. Like previously, you looked across that locker room or you looked around on that sideline whenever there were times they were down in different games. You go to overtime with Clemson or whatever it ends up being, and you felt confident because hey, this is a durable team. This is a team that's been in these situations before, had a lot of guys that have been in the foxhole before. They're no stranger to these kind of high-stress, high-intensity situations. They're built for it. They're ready to go. Well, that same characteristic now, you have to parlay that into steadying your young quarterback and instilling confidence in him. Hey, this is a tragic situation. Nobody signed up for this. Nobody had this on their bingo card. Was Jordan Travis going down not early in the year, but thank goodness not early in the year, but later in your playoff run. Nobody was signing up for that. Nobody thought that would happen. So now you need that same leadership that steadied the hand in Clemson, South Carolina, to steady the locker room as you move forward without Jordan Travis as your guy under center. Right? That's the thing that would give you confidence. It's also the thing that I think has to be a reality to benefit 18 going forward. Because Tate Rodemaker, he has to feel like it's his car. He can't feel like he's out there just renting it. Like he's just out there trying to make good with somebody else's position. Like you make sure he feels like, hey, we go as you go, 18. Keys to the car. We're all behind you. Let's roll. There has to be that kind of approach from this locker room. And I think they're going to be able to do that for Tate Rodemaker, and that's going to be, I think, the reason why they're successful. So this is the other question now. A lot of people now are saying, well, JD, we lost Jordan Travis. How does that look with the committee? Are we going to get docked when it comes to the college football playoff? And people saying, well, I would take Florida State, but do we really want to put them in the playoff without their starting quarterback? What I would say is you can't argue with records. Whatever opinion you want to have of Florida State, you can have it. But if they are undefeated ACC champions, there's nothing you can say that would be a good argument to keep them out. Because as much of an impact as the quarterback has on a game, there's also 11 or 10 other guys rather on the field with him, 11 on defense on the other side, that are allowing Florida State to get to where they want to be. Okay, so Jordan Travis, enormous piece of their success. But to leave them out of the college football playoff, one, is not going to happen if they're undefeated. Two, would be irresponsible based on what they've done to get to this point. Jordan Travis, obviously been a catalyst. They go as he goes. But it's also a team effort, a team operation that's gotten them to this point. So, for Mike Norvell, for Florida State, for Tate Rodemaker, can they still do it? Can they still be a college football playoff team? I'm here to tell you two different missions in the game at Florida and the game against Louisville in the ACC title game. But can they do it? Absolutely. So I can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to see what happens this upcoming rivalry weekend. We will have a pick for you tomorrow in Florida State, Florida. So make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. 11 a.m. Eastern right here on the On3 YouTube channel. Want you dialed in. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. We're going to keep this party rolling, and we will see y'all next time. Hey, y'all. Thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.